Richard, we've done 18 hours, mate. 18 hours. We've got 6 to go.
Woohoo! Easy work.
Will you cope with another 6 hours?
Yes, it's the last stretch now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the last stretch. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't sat down much, maybe like 5 minutes for the entire time. So I'm beginning to flag in the respect of standing up. But I do think that it's a testament to being carnivore that we've been able to do this.
Yeah.
In fact, the only thing that's going is my voice, actually, because I'm rabbiting on so much.
Yeah, we're not as compass mentis as we were in the beginning. I think you could probably tell that coming into the end of the last slot that we did, and I think that's why we're sort of handing over to to the guests to do a little bit more speaking. But yeah, look, it is what it is. We're still here. We're still functioning. Yes, flagging a little bit, but I mean, we are 22 hours in. Or 8. How far did you say? I can't even think now. 18 hours in.
We've done 18
hours.
Yeah, so there's 6 to go. I'm just messaging Jessica to say, is she coming back? Because the devices didn't connect properly. Oh, here we go. I think, yay! That's excellent. So, big build up. Here she comes into the stream.
Perfect.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hey
I'm
there, Jessica.
good.
Hi. How are you? I made it. Sorry, I had some technical difficulties.
Well, I could tell. So, do you know Richard?
I don't know Richard.
No.
Hi, Richard.
No, nobody knows me. Hey, Jessica. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good. So,
nice
Jessica, to meet you.
For people that haven't seen you before, including Richard, if you could just give us a little introduction as to what you're all about, that'd be fantastic.
Sure. I'm Jessica, and I am a kind of recently new carnivore. I've been carnivore for about 18 months, and it's been quite a journey. I've been in the health and fitness industry for a really long time, and so carnivore for me was kind of the last final piece of finding what I felt was like what I was looking for in terms of improving my health and optimizing my health. So yeah, I have got 3 little girls, and my family and my fiance and I are all now carnivore and are absolutely thriving.
So how can people find you? What's your handle on Instagram?
I am the Carnivore Mummy, and that's Mummy with a U for our American guests. And I also have because of my fitness background, and I specialize in something called Neuro Reset Technique, which is a neuromuscular based therapy. I also have a Instagram under the Jessica treatment as well. So you can find me there too.
So Richard, you're into the fitness. Do you want to ask about the NRT therapy? Yeah,
that's something I'm familiar with. I'll be honest. And that's probably the first for Stephen to hear me say something like that. So it's something I'm completely unfamiliar with. If you'd like to go into some detail in regards to that, I mean, I'm familiar with the neuromuscular zones in regards to training. Cycling is something I've gone into recently, so that is a zone that I need to work on. What I've noticed in regards to new to cycling is it's a zone that I've been told is going to take some time to build accustomed to. If you'd like to go into more detail, baffle us with the science.
I would love to. Basically, Neuro Reset Technique is a very rare form, as I said, of neuromuscular-based therapy. We are looking at essentially the brain and the nervous system and the strength in these and the pathways between the neuromuscular system. What does that all mean? Because it all sounds like a load of waffle. It means that we can instantly strengthen somebody's muscle recruitment capacity, their motor control, their muscle function, their strength, their mobility, instantly with some amazing long-lasting results. If I was to categorize how it's different from other therapies, I would say that it really gets to the root cause of people's issues. So we look at why they are weak and where they are weak, rather than kind of addressing the symptoms of that weakness. And when I saw this, so I was a personal trainer back in the day. About 20 years ago, I started in health and fitness. And then 10 years ago, I came across NRT. And I was already doing some kind of neuromuscular-based therapy at the time. And then I was introduced to this, and it just changed my whole life. It changed everything I thought I knew about human function and movement. And we work with a lot of people, getting them in better states, rehabilitationary wise, as well as, post injury, your recovery is faster, the strength and control gains are faster. There's just nothing like it in the world. So I went all in when I found this technique and went, oh my gosh, I have to learn this. And that's been me. This is my 11th year now doing NRT. And so, it's pretty rare. There's only 25 of us globally in the whole world that are certified to do it, which is why I'm not surprised that you haven't heard about it.
I don't feel so silly now. So
no, don't. Absolutely. And Richard, we could talk about that a whole nother day, because NRT, it's a lot. And when you start talking about it, it goes deep. And I don't want to bore all these carnivore folk with my neuromuscular functional talk.
Well, that's another string to your bow. And I was going to come into the carnivore chat now, actually, and say, so tell us a little bit about your carnivore journey. So was there pushback when you decided to go that way, or was it all plain sailing?
Well, because I went heavy meat based for quite a long time before I took the plunge and went, both feet in and went fully carnivore last, and that was January 22. At that time, I was only eating a really small amount of low oxalate plants and quite a small quantity. So I'd already done a huge transition over. Prior to that, I was full paleo based, so just meat and vegetables for about 20 years, nuts and seeds. I did a lot of dehydrating and sprouting and activating my nuts and seeds and making all my own raw vegetable hummuses, and, you name it, I did it. I made everything from scratch. And I thought I was like really healthy being in fitness as well. I was like, I eat all these amazing proteins and fats, but I also included a huge amount of plants in my world. And so when I started, basically I didn't start looking deeper. I'm not going to lie to you, Richard, and say that I, was led by my intuition towards carnivore, because I would be lying through my teeth. I actually thought plants were really good for you. I believed in them wholeheartedly, and I promoted them. I literally coached people to eat the way that I did at the time. And so what actually happened was my fiance found out about carnivore, started looking into it, and he kind of told me, we should look at this. And I resisted. I mean, properly, Richard, like I did not want to give up my little bits of vegetables. And basically he sent me a video and said, check out this guy. He is a Kiwi guy. He's got a really bad potty mouth. He's just like you. Like, I think you really like him. And sent me a video, which was from Professor Barkay. So basically, when I saw this video, I was shocked. I was like, oh my gosh, that is one of my old uni professors. And that was kind of how I fell down the carnivore rabbit hole, as I looked into all Barkay's stuff. And my fiance and I obviously tried it. He actually did it for 3 months before I did, and started looking amazing and healing. And he also suffers like really bad insomnia. So he started sleeping better, and he felt better, and his digestion improved, and his skin improved, and the tone and tissue of his body changed, and his body comp changed. And I was like, still trying to not think that it was the vegetables. I was like, oh, maybe it's just not as stressed, or maybe it's like something else, because it's quite hard when, for 15 years you have learned a ton at university that have told you that plants are essential, and that we need to mix them together, and, that they improve the absorption of nutrients and minerals out of meat if we couple them with vegetables, and just all of the stuff that I was spoon-fed and lied to about. And so, that's it was quite hard. It's quite, that was really tough for me to let go of and change my mind about. I didn't want to look at it. So yeah, I eventually thought, okay, I will start looking at this, started pulling out my nuts, started getting rid of my spinach and the kale and all the crap that I used to eat on a very, very big scale too. All the vegetable box I used to prep these veggie boxes, which were all cut up different types of vegetables that I would stir fry for my breakfast. And it was a huge quantity, like massive. It would make a dinner-sized plate of stir-fried vegetables I'd have every breakfast. And so letting go of those practices, letting go of all those, those things that you're told that when you're doing them, you're succeeding in health, and that you're being as getting that variety and that colorful range of vegetables. And I just thought I was doing everything right. So it was hard to let go of that. And then when I did, I decided to get rid of the last little bit of my plants, which was what I did in January 21. I did 3 months fully carnivore, and with full intention of stopping after the 90 days. I thought, okay, I'll just do the 90 and then I'll go back to eating my pickles and my iceberg lettuce and, the lower plant toxics on the scale. And then I did the 90 days and I was shocked at the results. You can see in my pictures, there are some pictures on my Instagram on the Carnivore Mummy of the before and afters. And it was significant. I lost body comp. I lost stretch marks. Some of my saggy skin from my 3 births started to heal and tighten. Some of the fine lines and wrinkles in my face started to fade. Eczema and dermatitis that I'd suffered with literally since I was born went away. My gut healed. So yeah, it was massive. Even eating only low oxalate vegetables, that last piece for me was massive and was creating a huge amount of inflammation in my body. So it was that last little bit that actually transformed everything for my health. And so since then, I thought, well, I'm not going to go back, am I, to eating vegetables again after having that kind of response in my body. And so I haven't done since. And that was, about 18 months ago now.
And did you find the results just blew you away completely, or was you still skeptical? How long did it take to be 100%? This is definitely the thing for me, or was it quite quick?
Yeah, it was literally it was probably about 7 or 8 weeks into the 90 days. Like, I felt so great. My energy. I mean, I already have really good energy levels. Like, I couldn't have complained about, that was something I wanted to improve on, but it was just something that got it better and better and better. And then obviously same things, my body comp, like I started seeing definition in parts of my body that I didn't know existed. Like my forearms had dips in them that I'd never seen. I have cankles. So no matter how lean I've got, I have always had cankles. And I just thought that was part of my genetic makeup. And then after the 90 days, you could see like a full lateral side of my ankle bone. So it was 100%. There was no question. I knew exactly what it was. I also tried as much as I could not to distort the results. So I only trained like bare minimum. I did maybe 1 to 2 resistance sessions a week max, just so that I could make sure that that wasn't having too much of an impact on my results, and make sure that it was the carnivore that was actually having this impact on my body.
And what's your sort of daily regime then? Are you eating a couple of meals a day, and is it ribeyes? How are you doing that?
Well, prior to the last 10 days, I was just eating however I wanted. So typically 2 meals a day, usually kind of lunchtime onwards, and whatever I fancied, and just till I was full. I've never counted macros. I've never done any of that jam. I just eat when I'm hungry and stop when I'm full. And I really love that about the carnivore way of living, because being in health and fitness, and I had done everything, like I'd done Jenny Craze and Weight Watchers, calorie counting, I'd weighed my food for goodness sake. I was quite obsessed about food. So with carnivore, it just gives you that freedom, right? That freedom to literally eat when you're hungry and stop when you're full, and actually be able to listen to your body and what it needs. And so I don't put too much regiment on myself, because mentally I don't think it's a good place for people to be in, or I don't want to go back into those pathways that I was, that I went into. So yeah, that's what I was doing up until recently. I kind of fast naturally as I want to. I'll do like 24 here or 40 here, but I don't have any structured plan. And then 10 days ago or so, I went lion. So I've just gone lion for 30 days, which is just beef and salt and water, or ruminant animals and water, for 30 days. And again, I'm that type of person that wants to see, what does the next piece do? And what does the next piece do? So I committed to giving this a go. So yeah, I'm a week and a bit into my journey. So I'll do that for 30 days and then record the results and share. But I do plan to go back to eating like full carnivore. But who knows, if I get to the end of the 30 days and I have such significant results like I did originally, then you never know, I might just stay on beef, because I really enjoy it.
Yeah, one of the questions that came up earlier was a question which said, why does it seem that most carnivores keep slipping up and can't stick to the diet? And nobody seemed to think that resonated with them. Is that something that you've encountered, or do you find once people do it, they pretty much stick to it?
Working with clients, I can give a slightly broader opinion, I guess, because I've experienced it not just from myself, my friends and my family, but from all the people that I've worked with. And for the last 18 months, I have coached a lot of my clients into heavy meat-based diets. Do you know what? Adherence is one of these things that it really depends on the person. It depends on their nervous system state and health. It depends on their mental and social environments. There's so many pieces to health. It isn't just what we put in our mouths, moving our bodies, and our nervous system. It's deep. And so I find that people that some people need to abstain in order to stick to anything. And that's not just carnivore. That's just their personality type. And I've seen through, the different types of foods that they've eaten over the years that, they need to go all in 100%, because if there's any gray area, they can't control themselves. Others are fine. You can go, okay, eat this as much as humanly possible, and think about this being like a 90 to 95% standard. And then if you're out for dinner, or if you're at a birthday party and you want to indulge, then knowingly indulge. It's not being unconscious about your decisions. It's going, okay, this is what this does to my body, and I'm choosing to do it anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think you said something there. I just paraphrasing. Basically, it's not the diet; it's the type of person. Because I think that's true. As soon as somebody signs up for coaching with me, pretty much within the first session, this person's going to do this. This is an all or nothing type person, and some people are a bit wishy-washy. And it's not carnivore; it's just their MO. Basically, it's I'll do it.
Yeah, people are emotionally attached to food, and we're all addicted without knowing about it. These foods are more addictive than heroin. They have actually proven more addictive than heroin and cocaine. And yet we still think it's acceptable to be giving this to our children. And, like even recently, someone came up to us in a shop and gave my little girls, 3 of them, lollipops, and that's perfectly socially acceptable these days. And it would be seen as a kindness. And don't get me wrong, I'm not thinking that person that's coming over giving her a lollipop is wishing her ill harm, but equally, I know that me as a child, if someone had offered me a lollipop, it would have been a hard no. And my mum would have been like, no. And it would have been weird for a stranger to actually just offer it to your child, especially without saying to the parent first, could your daughter have a such and such? You know what I mean? It's so accepted so widely in society that we eat rubbish and that we feed it to our kids. And it's this just unspoken about thing that actually is frankly child abuse. And it's and I'm going to get backlash for saying it, but I don't really care, because I have had backlash, as I've spoken to you about before, Stephen, about backlash from people thinking that I'm too extreme with myself and with my children. But ultimately, my kids in different times of their lives were not very healthy in different ways. And this way of living has healed them. And you can say what you want about what you think it's doing to their mental health or how they might be feeling left out or depraved. But my kids want for nothing. You should see them when we bring the food out. They're literally screaming and hooting. Like, they love what they're eating. They are thriving mentally and physically. It's healed all their past health conditions. And the proof really is in the pudding. So I think if you do know as a parent and you're not doing better, then you have a responsibility. And yeah.
Yeah,
I think that is,
thank you.
The world
exactly
is the world is upside down when you're berated for giving your children the best possible nutrition, and you're not, and you're withholding the worst. You know, if you're saying you can't have candy, you can't have lollipops, you can't have this, but you can have eggs and meat and all these yummy things, and I just think you're right to stick to your guns. I mean, they're your kids anyway, and it's not extreme. It's natural. It's a appropriate human diet, I think. Yeah, Rich. Sorry, I monopolised all the questions there. Did you want to ask anything?
I was just going to touch base in regards to, what you alluded to there in regards to neglect. I mean, I think for the average person that doesn't understand nutrition, they know no better. But for the likes of us, it is neglect, isn't it? I mean, we are knowingly giving a drug to our children. The same can't be said for the average person on the high street that thinks that it is socially acceptable. But it is a difficult one. Lots of clients and customers have reached out to me recently asking me how I go about with my little girl. What do I feed my little girl? And it's an awkward one, isn't it? Because you're stuck between a rock and a hard place in terms of I will feed her the food that I will eat, which is carnivore food. Now, to anybody else looking in, then I'm neglecting my child because I'm not giving them fruits and vegetables. And then if my little girl goes over to her nan's house, as you say, the lollipops come out, or she'll feed chicken nuggets, and so it is incredibly difficult, isn't it, to try to re-educate, because it's a massive education piece. But that's a constant battle for me in regards to making sure she's eating highly nutrient dense foods, and I'm not seen to be, restricting fruits and vegetables. I seem to be, the nasty person in the equation then, when we know better. But for us, it is exactly that, isn't it? There were a couple of other points that you mentioned as well, but I've lost my train of thought. I think that's yeah, it's 20 plus hours, I think, taking this toll, but I should have made some notes.
So how does your coaching work then, Jessica? How do people get hold of you?
So I do in person, but I probably do equally, or if not slightly more, online these days. NRT only went virtual in 2021. So one of the good things to come out of COVID was we learned how to do this virtually, which is pretty epic. So yeah, I do online work and I do in-person work if you're in New Zealand, if you're lucky enough to be anywhere near us. We are the only 2 practitioners in the whole of the Southern Hemisphere. So that's pretty cool for New Zealand. In London, that's the majority of the practitioners are kind of UK based, and then you've got one in Sweden and one in America, and that's it. So yeah, if you can get to me, I'd say get to me. If not, you can book online, do online consultations for nutrition as well as what I specialize in with NRT. But really, I kind of tackle health from every possible avenue because they all complement each other, right? So if you're not addressing somebody's sleep and that's the crux of their problems, then you're not doing a very good job. So I kind of look at people's whole situation. I dig around in it and fix it all for them. And yeah, I love my work so much. I'm very, very lucky that I do something that even if I didn't get paid to do it, I would be doing it. And that I had that so young, because I know that there are a lot of people out there still trying to find what they want to give to the world and how they want to, how they want to show up and what purpose they have. And I've had that for such a long time. So I just feel very grateful to be able to work with people and help people.
Yeah, and I think it's amazing what you can do online, and many people were forced to do that because of the restrictions. I will be honest, I would never have done this without the restrictions. I don't think I ever would have done a 24-hour live stream, because I didn't do much online, and I would my hand was forced. I'm not saying I enjoyed the restrictions, but if you're given, what's the word? If you're given lemons, then you make lemonade. So yeah, it's good. It's very impressive what you do, and I like the fact that you're quite feisty and you stick to your guns. And I think that's one of the things I learned very early about being a carnivore. And those people that are listening that maybe struggle a little bit in social situations, it might be you actually giving out insecurity about yourself. If you're a bit more confident in your position, I think you have less pushback. I learned that very early on. I like what we do. I like the food. I know I'm doing the right thing. You do you and I do me. That's fine. I won't try and push it on people, but I think your confidence, when I first met you, first spoke to you online, it just shone through that here's somebody that knows what they want. And I think that's a really good thing as a coach, to be 100%, that committed to something. So yeah, I can see why you're successful for that. So that's your half hour. Have you enjoyed coming on?
I have very much so. I wanted to just quickly say on that point as well, like, you don't always have to involve people in your decisions as well. So if you find it difficult in social situations, then just don't put a spotlight on it. I went to a dinner with a girlfriend on Friday night, and it was at a dessert place, and it was dessert and hot pools, and they all got these massive cakes and puddings and hot chocolates. I just sat there with my sparkling water, and I was really happy. I didn't put a spotlight on it. I didn't need to announce to the world that I only eat meat. I just had a really good time. So if you do struggle socially, just you just don't need to involve everybody, because if you're not in a position like I am, that I have tried everything and therefore I am confident in what works, because I've vigorously tested it on myself and thousands of clients before I start recommending things to people, then just zip your mouth and sit back quietly. And as you improve, as you look better and more vibrant and stuff starts to heal and your body fat shifts off, people will be like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, what are you doing? And that's all you can do. Plant a seed, be the example, lead, and and give it a try before you judge it. Like, really, give it a try before you poo-poo anything, is my advice to the world.